focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
Welcome to the Wealth on the Beach podcast. My name is Daniel Alonzo, and as always, I'm your host, bringing you some of the greatest people in the world. And today, it's episode number 65. And this is, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, this lady has a resume that's freaking a mile long. Kerri Kasem, a multimedia personality, producer, writer, anchor, anchored music, talk and entertainment programs for radio and television, 25 years in business, created the Kasem Cares Foundation to stop elder abuse, ABC, MTV, 790 KABC, America's Funniest Home Videos, the E Network, AM 830, 91.1, 97.1 FM, talk radio, dozens of magazines. I don't even know where to start. Kerri Kasem, your dad was Casey Kasem. He was a famous DJ, which I listened to him every single day growing up. And he's also the voice of Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. Tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up with Casey.
Well, he was just my dad. So it was not until I got a little bit older that I realized, oh, wow, he's famous. People, that's cool, But he was always down to earth, grounded, not a party guy, not a Hollywood guy. So we didn't have that kind of life. People always thought I went to these extravagant parties or award shows and things. Not until I got older on my own and when I was working did I get to do those things. Although I did grow up in a place, Beverly Hills and Los Angeles area, where there were a lot of celebrities. So, I did get to, grow up a bit in Tom Petty's house. That was like, I spent years and years of my life there. And so, but that, that wasn't anything to do with my dad, right? She was just somebody who went to my school. We got to hang out and that was cool. And I always thought, wow, we get to play on Tom Petty's, he had the 12-string guitar and all the instruments and everything, but then he'd invite all the old guys over and it was like, ew, let's go. And, the old guys were like George Harrison and Roy Orbison and Bob Dylan. So, you don't realize.
Yeah, you don't realize later on, you don't realize who these people really were that you were hanging out with, right? Yeah. I mean, do you have any favorites growing up? Like any favorite celebrities that kind of made you feel good when you were young?
Funny, I grew up with a lot of parents being in the business. So I'm just trying to think basically Tom would stand out because he was the one I spent, so many years with and at the house, and I went to my first concert with him. I smelled, the first smell of weed with him. I remember being so freaked out going, what is going on? Oh my God, my dad would kill me. I just remember there was a lot,
it's okay. You can talk about anything here. So anyways, was your dad strict though? Was he strict? Sounds like he's strict.
Very ethical.
Okay.
Very good man, amazing dad. So yeah, I am who I am today because of him, and I loved him very much, still do. And you never lose your love for your parent, and I miss him.
Was he a strict disciplinarian? I mean, do you remember getting in trouble and any times that you remember? Like the reason why you got in trouble? Can you tell us a
not
couple
doing my homework.
Okay.
That was a big one because education was very important to him. Okay. He said, get your education first and you can do anything. And that was very important to him. But, he was very strict, but very kind and very loving, and would always teach us things through anecdotes and stories and things that he had done wrong and the mistakes he made, so in hopes that we wouldn't make them. He was always teaching. Yeah.
And would you consider yourself, you were a good kid growing up or a little bit of a rebel growing up? I mean, where would you say?
I had a hard time in elementary school, very hard time, flunked second grade. My parents didn't take me out of the school that I flunked. It was a big public school. So all my friends went ahead and I was back with the younger kids, and it was hell for me. It was literally like living hell. I hated school. I didn't understand why I couldn't study and didn't get things. And then, so that was horrible. And then I went to boarding school, and, you know, my mom sent me away. My dad didn't want that, but it was actually pretty good for me. And then I kind of went through my like not so good stage in my early 20s, late teens, and I straightened out again. So, you know, I think a lot of kids go through that.
I could relate a lot, Kerri, because I was one of those kids that I hated school. I just, you know, I rebelled against school. I couldn't understand why I had to learn some of these things that they wanted me to learn.
Yes.
And it's kind of been a little bit of a mission of mine to let the world know that you can still become successful. You know, I mean, I started in business at 21. I was financially independent by the time I was 28. So, and I wasn't the smartest kid. I was just one of the hardest workers. I was able to focus and on a passion and drive it to where I wanted it to go. And so is that kind of, do you relate to that a little bit?
Yeah, look, people are successful whether they go to college or not, right? And a lot of the biggest people who've created and the ones who have really changed the world, many of them haven't gone to college. So I think it also depends on what you want to do and how you get there. There are some things that college isn't necessarily great for, and doing what you did, or taking on a mentor in business or in real estate and learning from there. If you want to be a real estate mogul, what are you doing in college, right?
Exactly.
You know, work for the best real estate team, work for the people that you want to, you know, if you want to own your own business, you know, go work for the business that you want to be like and to own. But look, I'm not saying it's, I think either or you can still become successful, but I don't think you need it.
I think a lot of people, they waste a lot of time. Well, I just call it time value of money. I mean, you know, you waste 5 years or 6 years in college in an area that's not progressing you. Right. You're going to wake up 5, 6 years later, you've lost a lot of time. And
very
and
true. Very true. I mean, you have to go to school if you're going to be a doctor, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Lawyers, things like that. I get that. And you have to. There's no way around it, and you have to learn it. So, but there are certain things where I believe you're wasting your time, completely wasting your time, wasting your money, causing debt, and it doesn't work out. And now you have all this debt, and you're in a job that's not paying you as much as you thought you would, and there's a lot of things you really have to look at it. Put your pros and cons down. Make a list. Talk to people who went to college, who didn't go to college. You know, so it's really important that you do that. And a lot of times when you're young and you're trying to make that decision, and everybody, including your parents, are telling you go to college, that's a very hard thing because everybody's pushing you to do that. But you've got to look at it and do the pros and cons list. Find mentors on either side and listen to them and ask them questions.
Love it. You've been in the entertainment business for 20 years. I mean, well, 25 years actually now. Do you prefer TV or radio?
That's a good question. I love both. I really love both. I love radio because it's something that I'm very good at. It's easy for me. I'm so comfortable behind a mic. It's really like a second home for me. I've been there for so long, and it's, you know, I love TV as well. It's super fun to do, but you're constantly getting in makeup, constantly doing hair. Within radio, now there's a lot of pictures and video and everything in that too, but you're not constantly having to come 2 hours early, get your makeup and hair done. I can go in my sweats, you know, put a little makeup on, put my hair up, and I'm good to go with radio. I love both mediums. I like creating. I'm producing again with TV. I'm taking my TV shows out that I've created 16 years ago, and some are brand new, and I have a producing partner, Genevieve Wong, and she's been nominated for an Emmy 4 times, and we've been like full speed ahead with our TV shows. I'm, working on my documentary I've been working on for 6 years. That's coming to a head and close. We're almost done with the end of it. So it's fun. Both mediums are very fun. I love them both. I like working, with my disaster relief group and with my foundation, Kasem Cares. So there's a lot I do, and I like to keep it diverse. I don't want to just do one thing.
And so tell us a little bit about your documentary. What is that all about?
Well, I pulled out my camera 6.5 years ago now. Gosh, when my stepmother decided she wasn't going to let anybody see my dad, where she literally took all of his communication away, literally shut the gates of the house, fired his staff, and we couldn't see him. And after months of asking her and pleading with her and begging her and sending her all this communication, we realized, oh, she's really doing this. So when I called all my dad's friends, family members, and I said, look, would you protest in front of the house? A peaceful protest. Nothing slanderous, nothing wrong. Just why won't you let us see, our dad, our friend, my brother? Why can't I see my dad and his brother? My dad's brother was holding a sign saying, I miss my brother. So we just stood there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to film this because Jean Kasem has a tendency to lie, and that's putting it very nicely. She lies all the time. So I knew that she would say we were doing something destructive, wrong, slanderous. So I taped the entire thing. What did she do? She didn't realize we taped the whole thing. So in court, she says they were slanderous. They were saying horrible things to me. They were climbing the gates. They were destroying the house. Right, whole thing's on tape. So when her lawyer at the time, who didn't do any kind of it was on the news. We were on the news. We were on TMZ. We're everywhere. Didn't do any of his homework. Came out and said that. I just put the entire protest up on YouTube, and it's still there now.
Wow.
So this is why I'm like, you know what? And then I just started filming the families that were in my same position, where they couldn't see their mom, they couldn't see their dad, and I just started shooting their stories. And so I have people we've been working with for years. Yeah.
So Kasem Cares is really about elder abuse. I mean, that's really what the foundation is about, correct? So can you kind of explain that? I mean, can you explain what is elder abuse? Because we don't really hear that a lot.
There's all forms of elder abuse. Most people think, well, physical. They're being hurt, right. They're being hit, they're being left unchanged in their feces. They're not being fed. They're not getting the right medication. But there's all forms of elder abuse. There's sexual elder abuse, where it happens in nursing homes. It's a horrific thing. There's isolation, which what we deal with when the elderly person is isolated and told the kids don't want to see them, told that they're suing you for money. We see these lies by these caretakers, and these people are vulnerable. They might have a bit of dementia or a lot of dementia. They may be like physically sick. And when you're told, look, I'm the only one taking care of you, nobody loves you, nobody's calling, but they've turned off all the phones, they've taken the mail away, then you tend to believe that. So now there's the caretaker getting guardianship or conservatorship or a power of attorney and saying, kids, you can't come into the house. Your dad doesn't want to see you, or your mom doesn't want to see you. And this uncooperative caretaker can be a wife, a husband, it could be a sibling, it could be somebody you don't even know. So people don't realize that when you turn 18 in this country, you have no rights to see your parents, zero. And when I mean it, so if there is somebody in a residential home or an assisted living, and they have an uncooperative caretaker, someone taking care of them, and they say you can't see your mom or dad, you're not getting around that unless you have a lot of money. And a very good lawyer. Yeah. So what my bill does, and what I've been doing for the last 6 years, is with my foundation, Kasem Cares, and my team, going state to state, changing the laws so this doesn't happen to people. In my case, my father said, I want to see my kids. I want them to help with the medical decisions. Told this to the judge through his attorney, through the court-appointed doctor, emphatically said, I want to see my children. But because there was no guardianship in place or power of attorney, because we had a power of attorney, his wife had a power of attorney, we had to either fight over the powers of attorney, which could take months, maybe years, who knows, when in the courts these days. But even though my dad said, I want to see my kids, the judge could not grant visitation because there was no law allowing her to do so. Well, now there is. Yeah, now there's a law here in California that if a judge just grants visitation, then you can see your parent. Now, people say, well, what if they don't really want to see you? Well, they'll send somebody over there, social worker, like they did in our case.
To ask, yeah.
Ask. And if they're unable to speak and they're not able to really communicate, you look at the parent-child history. Well, were they seeing mom and dad up until that time? You know, how was the relationship? So it's just a very common sense bill, and there's not a lot of common sense in this field, in this world, and there are a lot of criminals, and they will lie about you. They will lie about your family. The person who's doing the isolating will vilify the family members and everybody that loves this person.
So let me ask you this, Kerri. I mean, just after all these years, because you've been dealing with this for what, 6.5 years? Yeah, long time. And so, like, after all said and done, I mean, have you really figured out like why she wanted to do this to you guys? And I mean, what was the benefit to her?
The only thing that I can think of, and what I know to be true myself, and this is my opinion, is that she's a true sociopath. Okay. And so there's 1 out of 5 people are sociopaths. If you can look it up, sometimes they say 1 out of 25, and other people argue, and other different, there's, was it Quora, and there's, I don't know if it's Psychology Today, whatever. There was all these different articles that come out and it gives you like 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 25, right? But there are a lot of sociopaths in the world. And unless you're really up against one, you don't believe that there are people that actually have no empathy, truly have no empathy. And what they do and what they do leave is a pattern. They all do a pattern. So in my book, I'm gonna talk about the different patterns and the flags that you will see from a sociopath. And they're all the same. It's cookie cutter. Believe it or not, they act the same, they say the same things, it's so weird being in this business for so long and having to deal with so many of these people. It's eye-opening. Like, you go, wow, she's going to do that. You can actually spot their next movement. So when victims call me and they say, this is what's happening, this is what's in court, I'm like, do this, this, and this. And if people listen to me, it's usually they'll get visitation. A lot of times they're so scared of the individual, the threats. They will threaten, they will lie, they will do anything to destroy you. But you have to fight back harder because you have truth on your side. And if you can get through the lion's roar and all the attacks, you'll win. But a lot of people can't. And it's a very hard thing.
And so if somebody is going through this right now and having this situation, not able to see a parent or dealing with any sort of elder abuse, I mean, so do they contact you? How do they get a hold of your foundation? Yep. How do they do that?
It's kasemcares.org. So hopefully you can put that up. It's KASEM cares.org. We have a phone number there. We have a hotline. We have the bills up there in the states that we're in. If your loved one is in a hospital or a nursing home, there's the patient's bill of rights you can use. It's a federal bill. So we have a lot of help on that site. So if you're going through that now, please give us a call. You can write us too. We have an email at kasemcares.org.
Yeah, you guys even were awarded the Certificate of Congressional Recognition for starting your foundation, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. What did that feel like when you were awarded that?
It was years into it, and just it was recognition for the work we had done with the elderly and to changing laws. It was amazing. And this year, and it's not in the bio, but this year we won the Presidential Volunteer Service Award in Washington, D.C. So that was pretty amazing, amongst other awards we have, and I'm very proud of that. It's one of my biggest accomplishments, and I love that I took what was one of the worst times in my life, and now I'm using it to help other people. So it feels good. It definitely does. I also have another company that I felt was much needed as well, not only for the elderly, but for people who've been diagnosed with mental illness. Most mental illness stems from an actual health problem. I know this because I went through it, and I was put on medications that literally made me plummet. So I created a company called Breakthrough Naturally with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend, the same thing happened to him. His teacher diagnosed him at 6 years old. His teacher diagnosed him with a mental illness, and he was on meds from 6 years old on up to his teens. And he said he doesn't want that to happen to any other kid. So he works with children, he works with adults. He's called a natural coach without medication. And we were now working with a man who about 20 years ago formulated something called Empower Plus. It's micronutrients. And his wife, unfortunately, very sad story, Tony's wife took her life and his son took his life, both being on medication. And he said, there's got to be another way. And he created this supplement. We have so many testimonials. One of the best is on my Facebook site right now. And I'll actually make it, I think it's public. And it's a woman who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, diagnosed with bipolar, diagnosed with depression, and no medication. She's in a psych ward for 4 years. No medications would help her. So her therapist actually said, which was really great for a psychiatrist to do, is, hey, try these supplements. You know, if none of these have helped you, there's nothing that will go wrong. She has been medication free and back in the workforce for, I think, 5 years now, just on the supplement we sell. And I thought, if I can help people who are in my same position, who had an underlying health cause. I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, depression, and instead of this doctor that I walked into, this psychiatrist who is a doctor who could have taken one simple blood test to see what was going on with my body, he prescribed me like 3 or 4 different medications where I just crashed like bad. It was a worst depression I've ever been in. And I got off the meds and I started to go with, well, if this isn't going to help, it's got to be physical. And it was. I was severely anemic, severely, meaning I didn't have enough iron in my blood. So there was not enough oxygen to my brain and my heart. What does that mimic? Depression. What does that mimic? Unable to focus. What does that mimic? Several mental illnesses. So instead of actually being a doctor and doing what's right, he just in 20 minutes told me I had all these mental illnesses. And the more and more over the years that I've talked to people, this is happening all the time. It's happening all the time. People are being wrongly misdiagnosed with a mental illness when it's an underlying health cause. So I created Breakthrough Naturally. I'm very proud of that. People are saying every day that their lives are changed. And one testimony we're going to get that I'm going to put up is a friend of mine who didn't tell me that she was on medication for her diagnosis of depression. And she didn't tell me this, but she's like, oh, I want to try those vitamins because they're great for everybody, for mental health, for physical health. They're fantastic. So if you just want to feel better, go for it. If you have, stress or anxiety, it's going to handle it. So she starts to use them. And 2 months later, she goes, you know what, Kerri, I didn't tell you this, but I'm off all my meds and I've been using your supplements and my life is completely different. She's like, you changed my life. She said, I went to Ireland and I ran out and I literally had a panic attack. Like I was like, wait a second. She's like, it wasn't mental illness. It was vitamin deficiencies for me. So I have these testimonials. They're fantastic. If anybody out there is not, medication's not working, we have an alternative. And
I mean, do you think that like the world is being over medicated? I mean, there's so much money involved. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, we're talking the pharmaceutical industry is one of the biggest industries in the world. I mean, it's big money. It's big
scary.
Money. And it's scary because a doctor could just easily, and of course we all trust our doctors. We all he's got a doctor on his name and a PhD and you think he knows everything and he, checks you out and talks to you and asks you questions. You think he has the answer. What's going on here, Kerri? Why are we being over medicated, man?
I'm the conspiracy theorist. You don't want me to go there.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's go.
That's for my podcast, the Red Pill Podcast. But
there you go. All right.
There's a lot going on, and one of them is money. It's money, 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 right? Yeah. There is a psychiatrist named Dr. Peter Breggin who I've interviewed several times when I did a radio show many years ago. And if you look up Dr. Peter Breggin, he was a renowned psychiatrist who's turned his back on the industry. And he has facts, he has knowledge, he goes and testifies in court cases with people who have done things on psych drugs. So if you look him up, Dr. Peter Breggin, he has his own TV show, radio show. He will give you everything and talk about the dangers of it and what psychiatrists aren't doing, and that's doing their job, actually checking people out medically first. Right? You want to do that, but instead it's just easy. Hey, here, take this pill. Hey, take that pill. Oh, that's not working for you. Try this. Oh, wait, I'm getting a kickback from that company. Hey, I'm going to switch all my patients and put them on this drug because I'm going to make more money. He talks about this.
I mean, that should be so illegal. I mean, really. I mean, think about that for a second. Like, I'm going to give you a kickback for subscribing more of this drug that could, in fact, wreck somebody's entire life.
That's
because
right.
that's what's that. And I'm a weirdo anyways. I've always been a weirdo too. I mean, I don't like taking drugs. I don't like taking aspirin. I mean, seriously, like I'm one of those kind of people. And again, not that I haven't ever, I've done it before, but like, it's very rare. I have to be like, I can't, get off my bed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Crazy. It really is crazy.
It is crazy. And yeah, I mean, if you have to go to the doctor, go to the doctor. I'm not against any
of course
medicines and things like that. And you're sick, you go to the doctor, but there's over prescribed, and especially in the mental health industry, it's over prescribed. Nobody's looking first at, you have very rarely when there's a psychiatrist who will look at your physical health before they just prescribe anything. And it's like, what's going on here? Why aren't you looking at that first? I mean, thyroid issues can make you seem like you're having a psychotic break or you're seeing things. This happened to one of my family members and literally just got it fixed a couple weeks ago when she was in a ward for 2 weeks, and I just found this out. And it wasn't, they were putting on all these psych meds, and it wasn't that, it was her thyroid. Right. Thank God they fixed it. Thank God they found that out. But what if they didn't? She'd be in a psych ward on psych meds and not dealing with the underlying health problem, right? So that I'm very proud of this. We're doing, we launched in July. We're doing really well, and I can't wait to put up more testimonials. Okay, I'm gonna get some of those supplements. All right. So I'm telling you, if you do,
you tell me, because I'm that kind of guy. All right. So I'm a green freak. I love greens. I love juices. I love beet juice. I love just everything. I juice my own stuff. But I just I like that stuff because sometimes you can't get everything from just eating, and so if you could throw a supplement in and it can really help you, it makes sense. So how do I get that, by the way? Where do I go to get that?
Well, this is what's so amazing about me teaming up. They're in Canada. The company that started this in Canada, we're the American affiliates, Breakthrough Naturally. And so if you go to breakthroughnaturally.com, we have a free support line that's 5 days a week. If you're on medication, if we always say you must be working with a doctor if you want to get off the medication. The supplement's used for that. You can use it for, if you want to take it every day, you can use it if you start to have anxiety, you can use it, you can throw a few pills in and it works immediately. This isn't like it needs to get in your system to work. It works immediately. And I'm taking it myself. I know it works. And yes, you would love it. It's phenomenal. It's the most studied micronutrient on the planet. It has 34 independent studies, not from us, from different universities, from different labs that have studied this, because they're like, well, how is this helping somebody who's been locked up in a psych ward and now they're out and they're okay and they're happy and they're working and they're leading a productive life? And this is, so it's I don't want to say it's a miracle drug, but it is definitely, it's not a drug. It's definitely just nutrients your body needs. People don't understand that 70 years ago, yeah, there was a lot more nutrients in the soil. 100 years ago, you were getting everything, right? But now everything's been overfarmed. The nutrients in the soil are going, they're depleted. We're not getting what we need just having, a bowl of veggies. We're not getting what we need from the earth. So we must supplement, unless of course you have your own garden You know,
Right.
off the grid, you're doing it yourself. Okay.
You are bringing so much value. This is really cool stuff. This is, just to remind everybody, this is Wealth on the Beach podcast. Our special guest is Kerri Kasem, multimedia personality and producer and writer. And are you writing anything right now? Or
I'm writing a project. Yeah.
You've got projects going on. Tell us about all that good stuff.
Well, I've been, it's like when I say writing a book, I'm jotting down my chapters and what I want to put in them all along the way. And then we will hopefully finish the book next year. Awesome. So I'm very excited for that to come out. It'll be my story and what happened, and then also to help people that are going through the same thing, and to prevent it, to prevent any kind of issues when you get older in life. You know, you don't work your entire life to give your money away to lawyers and bankers and doctors, and you give your, you don't work your whole life to give your money away to people you don't know, and that's what's happening in this country. Right. You know, so it's very, very important to have your will and estate plans and your advanced health directive. Advanced health directive says what you want done with you at the end of your life, or if you get sick, or if there's an accident. You know, do you want to stay alive artificially? Do you not want that? It's very, very important. And even once you turn 18, believe it or not, if you do not have an advanced healthcare directive and you get into an accident, most likely you're looking at the courts making the decision for you, not your parents. A lot of times that happens, right? People are fighting, or mom or dad wants something else, and then it goes to the courts because you didn't write down what you want. So it's very important that you have that. And that will be in my book as well.
That's great advice. Very, very good advice. I mean, look, you've been in show business. You've been working your tail off for a very, very long time. I mean, I know you're a worker, and I know you're on it, and you're a hustler. You grind it, right? But I just want to know, like, I mean, what are some of the things that you do, maybe, that you see so many other people not do, and why you've become successful and why so many other people have not? I'm always trying to figure out, like, why are some people not successful and some people successful? So give me your thoughts on that.
Work hard. You have to do that. Like, it's not just going to come to you. I spent a lot of my 20s sitting by the phone, waiting for that to ring, and my auditions, and not getting it myself, right? Not going out there to get it myself, but also looking at myself and going, what are the things I need to do to be the successful person and where I want to be in life, right? And there were a lot of things that weren't right, and a lot of emotional issues that I had, and that emotion was coming out on everything, my relationships, my this, that. I had to handle myself and why I was going through certain things emotionally, and take a good hard look at myself and say, well, if I want a good relationship, well, I got to change myself. Right? You can't blame everybody for that. What I did was start taking responsibility for everything. And a lot of people can't do that, the good and the bad, right? They'll take responsibility for the good, but then, they'll blame somebody else if their career's not going right. They'll blame this person or that, or they'll blame the way they look, or they'll blame this, and it has nothing to do with that. Take responsibility for everything in your life, and then you can change it. Because if you're not responsible for certain things, you can't change it. And that was a big lesson for me, a big lesson. And I just now take responsibility for everything, and I can change it.
Are you disciplined? Are you a pretty disciplined person now?
I am. I'm definitely disciplined with my diet, with my time getting up, with my exercise. Now let me tell you something. The last few years of my life, I have gone through exhaustion. Really, really bad exhaustion. I was in the gym. I was always at my gym up until about 6-7 years ago. Very religious about my diet, in which I was lifelong vegan, went vegetarian for a little bit because I thought it was maybe my diet, but I had this horrible, horrible exhaustion. And this year I got diagnosed as Lyme disease, because the last 2 years of my life, even flying on a plane made me sick. Like, what's going on? I went to South Africa. It took me a month to recover from going to South Africa, a month. And I knew there was something wrong, and I was a little afraid. I'm like, what's happening? So I went to different specialists. I had all these tests done and everything. And so 2 doctors told me I had Lyme disease. And I said, thank God, because now I can handle it.
Right.
So I did. It took me 3 months of laying in this liquid oxygen. It's just so weird. It's from Hungary. Most people have never heard of it. They go, oh, it's a float tank. Oh, it's the hyperbaric chamber. It's nothing like that. It's liquid oxygen that you lay in a bathtub. It looks like water, smells like water, but it's not water. It's liquid oxygen. It doesn't lose its temperature. So if it's heated up, it stays like that. And you lay in it 3 times a day for 50 minutes. I did it 2 weeks on, 10 days off, 2 weeks on, 10 days off, 2 weeks on, 10 days off, 2 weeks on. And I started to come out of this. I had memory fog. I couldn't remember stuff. I thought I had early onset Alzheimer's. I couldn't focus. I was tired all the time. I needed to sleep at like 3 o'clock. So I knew something was wrong. So I've been doing that and then handling my microbiome, which is my gut, with these incredible drops. It's called Cocoon. If anybody's going through anything that's dealing with your immune system, anything. I had a very high ANA count, anti-nuclear antibodies. They thought I had lupus. They thought I had all this stuff. I didn't, but I handled it with the oxygen and this handling my microbiome, my gut. So tons and tons of probiotics, tons of them. And I'm running every day. I'm back to life. My memory is back. I'm sharp as a whip. I'm just like, my life has been handed back to me. So this is why health now that it went from elder abuse to my vitamins, and then this oxygen water and probiotics. And with my micronutrients, I always say you have to take probiotics as well. It will change your life. And so now I'm back. But when you say discipline, to me, it was like, you've got to exercise. You've got to eat right. You've got to make lists and make sure you get those things done. Because if they're not lists, and if you're not thinking properly and you're negative, guess what? Your life is going to go down the drain. You have to constantly project where you want to be and the steps to get there, and think. And you put these postulates out, you put these vision boards, whatever you want to do. You just put out what you want, and you set your goals, and little by little, you'll get there. You will get there, but that is discipline. And it does.
I've been telling people for years, whatever you think about with intensity and determination and courage will ultimately become your reality. And I believe that it's the way we're thinking. I'm a big law of attraction guy. I believe you think about something long enough, you want something bad enough, you're gonna get it. There's no question about it. It's just.
But you have to make the steps to get there.
Yes, totally. Yeah, you do everything you're supposed to do, but there's gotta be a focus. Whatever you focus on grows, right? If we focus on being negative, we're gonna have more negativity. If we focus on being positive, we're gonna be more positive. It's not that complicated, honestly. Like, success today with the amount of information that we have today is so much easier, I believe. It's not, it shouldn't be arduous to become successful. It should be a path that you decide. And like you said, make a list, chart it out, and then follow that game plan to execution. Yeah. And that's what I think. I just think, so what is, because you're doing all these projects, you're working on all these different things. What's a morning routine for you? Like, what do you do? What time do you get up and that kind of stuff?
Anywhere between 6 and 7. Sleeping in is 8 o'clock for me. That's like really late. And then I get on my elliptical machine and I'll do an hour and a half while I'm doing all my emails. So I like to be productive, and you don't even feel like you're exercising when you're doing that. Or if I have an Instagram I need to post or whatever, I get that ready, And so I do everything while I'm working out. So it's not, I used to listen to music, and I do sometimes, but I'm doing my emails, doing my social media, doing whatever I need to do while I'm on that. So I'm not wasting that time. And it actually makes your workout go so much faster. So try it. It's better than music, I'm telling you. Getting your workout goes so fast.
Oh, I love that. I love it. That's a great idea. And so now your partner is he also your partner in business too? Do you guys work together as well? Tell me a little bit about those roles and how that works for you.
Well, he was already a natural coach, life coach. So helping people who have been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and helping them with organizational skills, diet, because that is so important, so important. And that's where Empower Plus, the micronutrients come in, my supplement. It's absolutely amazing when you add that to having a cleaner diet and some exercise, your life's going to change, period. So that's what he does. I mean, he does that with people and changes lives. And when I've known him for a very, very, very long time. And when
So where did you guys meet?
Oh, wow. Okay. So he's a lot younger than I am. So when about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, his dad had a race team. He does the Baja 1000. So I was their model for their race team. I was in front of their race car and everything and did this, and I met him there. And then we rode motorcycles together. We, desert stuff, we were always doing fun stuff together. And then he moved out of the state. When he moved back in, he started working and doing the coaching. And I was like, I like that. It's really kind of on my purpose lines. And so we started dating, and we created Breakthrough Naturally. And our purpose is to help people, make them happier, make them more successful, make their lives in general more successful and happier. And we've been doing that. So our goal is being accomplished.
Love that. Love that. And so the next that you're working on your book, what else? Any other TV stuff, movies, anything else? What are you working on? Radio? What else are you working on?
I have my show here on KABC. It's a law show, Gervie's Law. I've been doing that for 6.5 years now. And yeah, so I have that.
So tell me a little bit about that show. What do you guys do on that show?
We talk law, but mostly like everything that's in the news, something that you see in the news, and we kind of do the law version of it, I guess. So we'll take it, we'll say, and we make it fun. It's not always necessarily hardcore law, but we go with, we have Gloria Allred on all the time, and she brings in her cases, which I actually adore her. We're kind of politically a bit different, but her heart is in the right place. She's one of our guests. I mean, Alan Dershowitz, we've had F. Lee Bailey on, we've had Laura Wasserman on, all these major players. There's just so many. We've done it for 6 years, but anywhere from, with Cindy Crawford was on, to Jason Patrick with his case where he got his son taken from him, and he supported me, and he's a fighter like I am. He's an actor from, Jason Patrick from The Lost Boys, and he was on, I think it was Twin Peaks? I can't remember. He's gonna anyway. So he's a fighter, and he got involved with me, and I got involved with his case. Our case were going on. He couldn't see his son. I couldn't see my dad. So we have cases like that on, different things like that.
Very cool. It just seems like a fun. And when's that on? So if we want to listen. It's
on KABC. So go to kabc.com and type in Gervie's Law.
Awesome. And you were going to tell me about something else you were doing too. What else you doing?
No, you asked me. I do my radio shows, my TV shows, my documentary, my book.
What's the TV show you're on right now? Like what are you working on there?
We're in development with a few different shows. We've done sizzle reels, and we're out shooting other sizzle reels. So we're right now in the kind of pitching, selling mode, and it's been really fun. It's been really, really fun. So I'm back in that. I haven't done that for a while. Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun. I got a couple real quick ones. What's your favorite book?
Oh, Lord. It depends on what genre. I'd have to say Ayn Rand is one of my most favorites. So Fountainhead, those are two of my favorite books, and Outliers.
Love it.
So
we're going to get along great. We're going to get along really, really good because we're like this right now. So you think the right way. How about favorite movie?
Okay, so there's a few. As a kid, it was The Black Stallion, because my dad took me every single weekend until that movie went out.
Wow. Are you serious? Really?
My favorite movie in the whole world. Then there was The Color Purple, but the movie right now that I have to say is at the top is called The Intouchables. Not Untouchables, not the gangster movie. It's called The Intouchables, and it was made, I think, in Belgium, and they tried to remake it here. It's a true story, and it's one of the most profound, most beautiful movies I've ever seen in my life. And if you watch it, it's subtitled, and you'll never notice there's subtitles, and you will cry, you will laugh. It will be one of your favorite movies ever. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it. That sounds great. What about favorite food?
Oh, so I'm a vegan. So I have to say I was born and raised on Middle Eastern.
So grass. So pretty much grass. You
yes, I
love
like
grass,
grains.
right?
I
You
usually
like
see my
grains.
backyard. It's full of beautiful
Yeah. Weeds and
country
stuff
grains.
are great. Yeah, just throw it in there.
So like Mexican food, Middle Eastern food. I love pasta, so I do gluten-free pasta. You know, that's my go-to like bad food if I'm gonna cheat. So you know, I'd have to say though, my favorite, all-time favorite, it's got to be Middle Eastern and then Indian.
Love that. Love it. Love it. Well, you are something else, Kerri. I mean, this has been so much fun for me to spend some time with you. It's great getting to know you. But I want everybody that's watching to do me a huge favor. Press pause right now and go follow Kerri on everything, okay? You know, follow her on Instagram, follow her on YouTube, follow her on Facebook, follow her on Twitter.
I will get back to everybody.
And ask her questions, like ask her stuff, like go learn. Like if you have extra questions that maybe I didn't ask her today, ask her questions. She wants to connect and get to know you guys too. Am I right?
Yes, and Instagram is like really, like if you Instagram me and DM me there, if you're gonna find me on Facebook, that's great, but just leave comments. I get my mailbox is way too full. So if you want to reply back from me, just comment in my posts. I'll reply back. Nice. I reply back to everything. But Instagram, if you DM me, I will get back to you instantly. And I am now starting my YouTube. I'm getting better with it. So if you want to follow me on YouTube, that's great. But where I'm on the most is, I'd have to say it goes Instagram, then Facebook, then Twitter.
And I'm gonna be listening to that law show. I promise you, I will be your favorite fan. All right. I love learning about the law and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. Well, I'm not on this weekend. Well, I'm off this weekend, so you have to start with the following weekend.
I'll wait for next week. But hey, look, everybody, I want you to again share this podcast with everybody you know. Follow us on Instagram. I just want to remind everybody, we're still signing up people for the Wealth on the Beach Club. And what this is I coach people. And so for 1/2 an hour, I give you a lesson about business, how to create massive passive income so that you can get freedom and choices to live the life that you want to live. And we also do a 1/2 an hour Q&A session as well. Check out our website, alonzoacademy.com, for all the details. And as always, follow me on YouTube. Lots and lots of great free content there. And as always, dream bigger than ever, but make sure that you do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.